And now let's try and tune in to no good music from an undisclosed location somewhere in New Jersey. That style, playing guitar.
When that comes on, you're out on the dance floor.
Miami still rocks, man.
Am I going to listen to this again?
And that's definitely going to be a theme.
You can't make this shit up.
No.
Hello, everyone. This is Rob.
And Jeremy.
And we are on, what show are we on? 45. Today, our main topic is the Elvis movie, King Creole, which is Jeremy's first Elvis movie.
First ever Elvis movie. That is correct.
But as always, before we get into the main topic, we have some other things to talk about first. And to go with the movie, which came out in 1958, we have the top 10 from the week ending July 5th, 1958. The top 10 list. And Jeremy's going to start us off. If I can
find the list. I just closed out of it. I didn't mean to do that.
Well, I could tell you what it is.
Well, I know the number 10 was Rebel Rouser.
Yeah.
Which was an instrumental only song.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't expecting that on a top 10 list, to be honest with you. By Duane Eddy.
Who is still alive.
Really?
He's 85.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
It was released in 1958, which obviously, would you say it was 45 years ago, 50 years ago, something like that?
58 would be 65.
65 years ago. Look at that. Holy shit.
That's actually older than me. Yeah. Something's older than me.
Nice.
And it's the first out of 3 on this list that are instrumentals.
Yes.
Which is very odd, because you don't hear any instrumentals that are in the...
No, the first time I ever heard an instrumental song was on, like, Jock Jams, that Rock and Roll 2.
Jock Jams. Okay. Oh, we have a beer here to go with the podcast.
Yeah.
I've had this before. It's really good. By Brewdog. It says live fast, drink slow. And it's Elvis juice.
Mm.
We're not making this up.
No.
It's a grapefruit infused IPA. And where is this from? Who knows?
I think this is my favorite part. You trying to read the can and figure out exactly where you got
I know.
where it was created at.
Very small writing. I don't know.
And this red and white striped can is not exactly easy.
I don't think it tells us. Oh, anyway, Brewdog, wherever you are.
Yeah.
Oh, Ohio. Sorry.
Oh, God.
There we go.
So it's going to suck. Everything out of Ohio.
No, actually,
I'm just kidding.
There's not many beers that I've tried out of Ohio.
I'm a Michigan fan. I have to say that by default.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Rebel Rouser. Do you want me to tell you about it?
Yeah, I liked it for an instrumental. Actually, the one note I had for this song was, in a sense, as you started to get into it, it was over.
Yeah.
Because it was so short.
I've found that it's pretty much the same notes over and over, but there are 3 different, like, key changes in the song, and there's a sax solo in the middle.
Yes, that was my favorite part.
And it's by a guy named Gil Bernal.
Okay.
And he was on Warren Zevon's last album,
Ooh.
The Wind, from 2003, that long ago.
Maybe the werewolves took him.
Yeah, Warren Zevon's been gone for 20 years now. So this was written by Duane Eddy and Lee Hazelwood, who most famously wrote These Boots Are Made for Walking.
And that's what they did.
Now, most people think this was based on When the Saints Go Marching In. Duane Eddy says it was based on who's this is a weird name of a song. Who's Gonna Shoe Your Pretty Little Feet? It's an old folk song from Tennessee, Ernie Ford. So that's number 10.
Number 9, we had Secretly, written by Al Hoffman, Dick Manning, Mark Markwell, and Hugo Peretti, but this version was done by Jimmy Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, there wasn't a lot to
It's a nice song.
Every song on the list was very short, which was a theme at this time. So going into it, I kind of knew I was listening to a bunch of 2-minute songs.
Yeah. I was thinking trying to keep it down to a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
For the radio.
Yes.
I thought it kind of sounded like a Ricky Nelson song. Not Rick Nelson, Ricky Nelson. And it reminded me, there's a song by The Crests called Silhouettes. In the lyrics, it says, "Wish we didn't have to meet secretly." So either it's an 18-year-old dating a 13-year-old, or she could be an older married woman. I don't know.
What do we have? Number 8, sorry. Endless Sleep.
Oh, this is a weird one.
By Jody Reynolds, yeah. Very weird one. I actually... This was probably my least favorite song of the 10 on the list. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It was, again, another short, quick song, but I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah. And Jody is a man, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about a guy discovering his girlfriend has drowned herself. Come join me, baby, in my endless sleep. He seems to hear, I don't know if the sea is talking to him. And he does save her. Supposedly, he wrote the song after listening to Elvis Presley's Heartbreak Hotel.
Oh, interesting.
And the record companies initially rejected the song as too depressing. So he eventually had a demo accepted by Demon Records in Los Angeles, and who agreed that Reynolds record it, provided that he changed the song's ending so that the girl is saved. Because I guess the original, she was not saved.
Oh, okay.
And interesting, I found that Billy Idol, I didn't listen to it, but Billy Idol did a version of the song.
Interesting. I can't even imagine what that would have sounded like.
Yeah.
Number 7 was actually probably my favorite song on the list. All I Have to Do Is Dream by the Everly Brothers. And I really enjoy the Everly Brothers just in general. So this one cracked the top 150 on the Rolling Stone list of the 500 greatest songs of all time, to which not really surprising.
Yeah.
This very upbeat, easygoing song, fun to listen to, and it's one that, some songs just have a beat that you don't get sick of. And for me, this is one of those songs.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites. I always like the Everly Brothers. I don't know how you can not like the Everly Brothers.
No, I agree.
I mean, their vocals it's like butter melting. They're butter.
Always
it's smooth.
Always very clean lyrics, always very crisp sounding. They have a good blend in whatever they do.
And this song was written by it's a husband and wife songwriting duo who also wrote Bye Bye Love and Wake Up Little Susie for the Everly Brothers. And the song Love Hurts.
By Nazareth?
Yeah, but it was the original was recorded by the Everly Brothers.
Interesting.
In 1960.
Okay.
It was 14 years before Nazareth recorded in 74.
All right. Well, number 6, anytime you have a song title with a woman's name in it, it's going to be gold.
Yeah.
Maybe not so much, but in this case, it was gold. We have Patricia by Perez Prado. And this actually hit number 1 in some top 100 charts.
Okay.
And what I found interesting about this song, because I could hear it after hearing it, which is going to make no sense whatsoever, but this was an orchestra song.
Yeah, this is the second instrumental on the list.
So, I mean, obviously, once you know that it's utilized in orchestra, like you can hear it in the song, but the first time I played it, I didn't know that, and it didn't strike me as something that if I'm going to the opera house or like a, play on Broadway, that this is the type of song I would hear in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because a lot of times you think of those as very like either slow, sappy, or very like loud sounding, repetitive beats over and over. And just, I don't know, this didn't feel like that to me. So I enjoyed it. It was okay for what it was.
Yeah, it was okay. Okay, now I'm up. Let's see. Splish
Splash.
Splish Splash by Bobby Darin. This song I hold dear, actually, because when I was very young, I don't know, maybe 6, 7, so that was early 70s.
While you were taking a bath.
I mentioned it before. My sister gave me a stack of 45s. Well, maybe like 10 45s. Those were the first albums I ever owned myself. Like, here, I'm giving these to you, right?
Right.
Other than listening to albums that my parents or my mom owned. But this was one of them, Splish Splash. So I listened to this many times, the 45. I don't know, this is a fun song, and this list is interesting because we've got 3 instrumentals, and we also have, I think, 3 what I call novelty songs, like fun, like humorous songs. I mean, this is a guy who's taking a bath, literally, and all of a sudden people are coming into his house, and there's a party going on.
Yeah.
That's in the lyrics.
Yeah, what night did that happen?
Yeah. And now this song also is interesting because it mentions it references some other characters from other songs, including, there's a song called Lollipop. He mentions Lollipop, Peggy Sue, and Miss Molly.
Of course.
Good golly, Miss Molly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They were all partying.
Yeah. I did find out that Miss Molly is actually not a reference to that song. Okay, I have here that Jared Atlas, maybe he was one of the writers, claimed that Miss Molly referred to Molly Epstein. And it was Bobby Darin's former English teacher at his high school.
Interesting.
I don't know. I have Gerald Atlas here. I guess maybe he wrote the song with Bobby Darin. Oh, no, wait a minute. The song was written with Murray the K, who was a DJ.
Okay.
Oh, this is interesting, too. He bet that Darin could not write a song that began with the word splish splash. I was taking a bath. And he wrote it. There you have it.
Magic.
And it became a hit. And we have, let's see, number 4, Poor Little Fool, Ricky Nelson. Kind of a bouncy beat going on. And another singer that his voice, it's beautiful. You know, it's just soothing. Now, Poor Little Fool is actually not about someone else. He's talking about himself. He's in a relationship with a girl who was kind of playing him, you know?
Right.
She's just sounds like she's going from one guy to the next.
Yep.
But he falls in love with her. But he knows he's just one in a line of, other people.
He's a pawn in a chess game.
Yeah. This was recorded April 17th, 1958. And the background vocals, here's a tie-in to Elvis, was recorded by the Jordanaires, which was Elvis's backup singers.
Right.
It became the first #1 song on Billboard's magazine's then new Hot 100 chart.
Ooh.
It replaced the magazine's Jockeys and Top 100 chart. Now, it was written by Sharon Shealy, and it was first recorded by Ricky Nelson. And she wrote songs for Glenn Campbell and Brenda Lee and Eddie Cochran. She also was the co-creator. There was a big show in the 60s called Shindig. She wrote the song when she was 15 years old. And again, the Elvis link, she had met Elvis, and he encouraged her to write songs. And it was based on her disapproval following a short-lived relationship with Don Everly of the Everly Brothers. And she sought out Ricky Nelson to record the tune. Get this. She drove to his house, claimed her car had broken down. He came to her aid, and she sprang the song on him.
Nice.
That's how she got it to him. That's the way to do it.
It's bringing steak out to a new terminology there.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Now, number 3, we have Hard-Headed Woman, Elvis. And this was in the film we just watched, King Creole. Now, this is not my favorite song by Elvis.
No.
It's not a great song. I don't know how it got to number 3, but I assume because of Elvis.
I was going to say, I have to feel this one had name appeal.
It's like we like Taylor Swift, but not every song's great. And how she, got some of her songs that are on the top 10 aren't the greatest, but it's Taylor Swift. So I'm comparing Taylor Swift to Elvis. Yes.
He probably would have tried to seduce her if he had the opportunity.
Yeah. They would have been in a movie together.
Yeah.
She should start doing movies like Elvis.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, she was just in a movie. What's it called? Amsterdam.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, back to Elvis. This song reminded me of Blue Suede Shoes.
Yeah.
The way he's singing it. And there's a trombone in this song I don't like either. This song actually went to number 1. And it was actually 2 weeks on the R&B charts. And it became a gold record. And it was later recorded by Wanda Jackson. So there you go. Hard-Headed Woman. Number 2. This is a fun song. Yakety Yak.
Don't talk back.
By the Coasters. There's a wild saxophone in this. Like Benny Hill kind of thing going on. What was that Benny Hill theme song?
No. Was that the one?
I think that was called Yakety Sax.
Yeah.
That Benny Hill theme song, if I recall correctly. This is a song about doing chores. And I love the deep voice. Don't talk back, like Jeremy just did. I don't know. The one lyric in this, I guess back in the 50s, not a lot of people had washer and dryers. Because it says, you just put on your coat and hat and walk yourself to the laundromat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good lyric.
Yeah.
The instruments in this song are very underrated. Just the beat itself. You said it's a lot of fun when you started. It's a really fun song.
Now, this was written by Lieber and Stoller, who wrote a lot of hits, and we'll talk about them later because they'll come up with some Elvis songs. Spent 7 weeks at number 1. And the reference, of course, Yakety Yak is the teenager's response to his parents, and their response is don't talk back.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't heard this song, listen to it. It's a fun song.
Yeah.
And the Coasters, actually, I think I get them mixed up with other groups from the 50s because I thought they were more a serious band, and maybe this was one novelty song they did. But they did the song Charlie Brown. I don't know if you know that one.
Might.
And Along Came Jones, which is like, they're both humorous songs.
Real quick, because you touched on it. If you haven't heard the song, go out of your way to listen to it. This song is not like a typical 50s song to me. This still holds up today as far as like just being a lot of fun to listen to.
Yeah. It's very upbeat, very...
This could have been released like 5 years ago by Bruno Mars. It's just got that very upbeat energy, the entire song.
I'm waiting for the Kesha version. No. Number 1 is, I mean, if you haven't heard this song,
what's that?
Purple.
What's that wacky noise they make at the beginning?
Purple People Eater by Sheb Wooley. So this is the third and final novelty song we have on there. And George Thorogood did a version.
Yes.
And again, I should have listened to that. Now, this also references 2 songs. Short Shorts, they mention. Mm-hmm. And there's a little of Tutti Frutti in there.
Yeah. I can see that. What's interesting about this song? It always pops up on any kind of Halloween playlist, and I don't understand why.
Well, I think it's about an alien, some creature. So, kind of, Purple People Eater.
I don't know, one-eyed, one-horned. It seems like it's like a little fairy tale kid.
Like Monster Mash, it's kind of a...
That one I can understand for Halloween, but anyway.
So, according to Woolley, MGM Records initially rejected the song. It was saying it was not the type of music with which they wanted to be identified with. Another interesting thing, I always find these interesting things about these songs, is an acetate of the song, I assume is a tape of the song, like maybe a reel-to-reel or something. It reached MGM Records' New York office, and it became popular with the office's young people. Up to 50 people would listen to the song at lunchtime.
Wow.
And the front office noticed and reconsidered their decision and decided to release the song. Now, this song is in the film Nope, which came out in 2022, which we've talked about. So in Nope, there's a scene where this cinematographer is hired to capture an alien on camera. And while preparing to capture the camera footage of the alien, he recites the lyrics from the Purple People Eater.
I think one of my favorite things about the Purple People Eater is all the different voices that they use.
Mm-hmm.
It almost sounds like Alvin and the Chipmunks at one point, like jumping in. And
oh, yeah, there's
singing.
Like an alien, sped up alien voice in that. So next we're going to talk about albums that are turning 50.
I knew I had 50 on my brain. I couldn't think of why. There we go. Okay.
And 40. So these are albums from July. The first set is from July 1973. July 3rd. Oh, actually I have some news from 1973.
Oh, here we go.
July 3rd, David Bowie retires his stage persona Ziggy Stardust in front of a shocked audience at the Hammersmith Odeon at the end of his British tour.
But he still played his guitar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ziggy played his... Yeah. July 13th, the Everly Brothers break up.
Oh.
After Phil Everly smashes his guitar on the floor midway through their final show together.
Wow.
Something out like Oasis would do or something, you know. July 28th, Summer Jam at Watkins Glen Rock Festival is attended by 600,000 people.
Is that in New York? Watkins Glen, New York?
Yeah, I think so. They see the Allman Brothers, the band, and the Grateful Dead. 600,000 people.
At least half of those were Deadheads.
That's more than Taylor Swift is bringing in at a show.
I wonder if they were wearing diapers at the show.
I don't know. Okay, albums turning 50. July 1st, we have one person who I simply love, and he was gone too soon, is Jim Croce.
Oh,
I always love Jim Croce.
Yes, great musician.
So Life and Times, his fourth studio album. This had the song Bad Bad Leroy Brown on it.
Everybody knows that song.
And he was also nominated in 1973 for 2 Grammy Awards. Now, this was his final album to be released.
Wow.
Keep hitting the mic here. July, we have some debuts here, too. We have a lot of debuts.
Okay.
Actually, the 50s and the 40s, here we go. But July 13th, we got Queen debut.
Oh, good.
Solo album, self-titled, by EMI Records. Let's see here.
They probably didn't have much success.
Says the album was influenced by heavy metal and progressive rock. Freddie Mercury wrote 5 of the 10 tracks. Brian May wrote 4 songs. And the drummer even wrote a song.
I can say, you're
Modern
missing one.
Times and rock and roll. They played their first gig in 1970, and they were playing clubs and college circuits around London for almost 2 years when they were asked to test out the new recording facilities at D Lane Lais Studios. And I guess they made an album then. So now we have albums from 40 years ago, July 1983.
All right.
I got one music news. July 6th, that's a statement of protest against music piracy in the form of home taping.
Oh.
Jean-Michel Jarre releases only one pressing of his latest album, Music for Supermarkets.
Okay.
Which is sold at auction to a French real estate dealer for 69,000 francs, which is about $8,960.
All right. So you were up and coming in 83. I was still 4 years away in the future.
Yeah.
Would that be cassette tapes pirating, or would that be something else pirating?
Yeah, home taping.
Because I know Walkmans were still big in the early 90s, so I don't feel like cassettes were around until the late 80s, but I could be wrong on my timeline. I'm just wondering how people were pirating stuff. Could you record on an 8-track?
There might have been video.
Okay.
You know, like a high 8. It just says home taping.
Interesting. Curiosity more than anything.
I would think like bootlegs or something.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Maybe somebody had one of those like microphone and the toy where you can record with the little microphone at like a concert and then taking it back and playing it.
Reel to reel. With wheels on it.
Yes.
The auction also, they did broadcast this album once.
In a supermarket?
No, on the radio.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. They played the album in full for the first and only time. So who knows where this album
is.
It's probably on Apple Music now.
It's probably selling in an auction house for like $1 million.
Yeah. So we have albums from 1983. July 11th, Robert Plant, The Principle of Moments. This is the second studio album.
He may have been from a band, I don't know, Led Zeppelin, right?
Yeah, Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin.
You might know him from there.
He had his first solo top 40 hit with Big Log. And the most popular track in the U.S. was Other Arms, reached number 1 on Billboard. Genesis drummer Phil Collins played drums for 5 of the album's 8 songs.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
And it says, as he did on Pictures at 11, so he also played drums on that.
Okay.
We have Metallica, their debut, with Kill 'Em All.
Kill 'Em All.
So they began playing shows in local clubs in Los Angeles. They recorded several demos to gain attention from club owners and eventually relocated to San Francisco. So the group's No Life Till Leather demo tape, 1982, was noticed by Megaforce label head John Zazula. He signed him and provided a budget of $15,000 for recording. That's not a lot. The album was originally intended to be titled Metal Up Your Ass.
Oh, I'm sure that would have been a hit.
And the cover featured a hand clutching a dagger emerging from a toilet bowl.
Nice.
So
that actually sounds really cool.
Yeah. But Zazula convinced the band to change the name because distributors feared that releasing an album with such an offensive title and artwork would diminish its chances of commercial success. But the album only sold, I say only, 17,000 copies in the U.S.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah. We have another debut, and it's Madonna. Her self-titled album.
Like a Virgin.
July 27th, 1983.
I don't know what album that song was on.
No, I think the first one was just Madonna.
Okay.
Peaked at number 8 on Billboard 200.
There's a fly in here.
Okay. Jeremy's waving at me from the side.
Trying to get his attention.
This had the song, let's see, Everybody on it. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Borderline was on this one too.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. Her first single is my favorite. Now, other artists, we're not going to go into, but I can just tell you that debuted were Lita Ford, Paul Young, The Waterboys, Suicidal Tendencies. I don't know if you ever, the song Institutionalized.
Maybe if I heard it.
And Wham.
Oh, look at that. Okay. I would have guessed the Cars or somebody would have.
And I'm not talking about Wham. I can't allow it.
Okay. Well, Bon Jovi had a release that year too, but you can't talk about that. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
No. Okay, now we're going to talk about the movie.
All right.
King Creole. Now, this was based on a book, and it was a stone for Danny Fisher. This movie is, I've probably seen 10 Elvis movies. So I've never seen this movie before, but I think it's more dramatic, more story-driven than his other ones. And yet Jeremy's first Elvis movie says nothing to really compare to, but the other ones are more. I was surprised that it starts out with music.
Yep.
And then it takes a good 20 minutes for another song to kick in.
Yes.
It
started very heavily with music, and I was a little concerned that we were getting ourselves into one of those musicals where it's mostly singing and not a lot of action. But luckily, to your point, once it got about 20 minutes in, that really leveled out quite well.
And it's in black and white, which I think it was 1958. I don't think it was as, maybe color was starting to come in with some movies. And it takes place in New Orleans. The first scene is a couple people in the street singing. And
a totally empty street.
Yeah. It's like COVID was going on back then.
Yeah.
And then Elvis comes out on the balcony, and it's the song Crawfish he's singing.
With some random person. They're singing a duet, but she's nowhere to be seen.
Oh, yeah. No, I think they show her.
It's not the neighbor,
street.
Though, I don't think.
No, there's a woman in the street. I think she's singing.
It's like a black lady.
Yeah.
Well, I assume. She's in black and white, but...
Yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed the movie. So the movie was, like I said, based on a book, and it was written by Harold Robbins, who was huge.
The ice cream guy?
No, that's Baskin.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. He had 20 flavors of books, though.
There you go.
But I recognize the name. He was big in into the 60s, 70s. He wrote a lot of books. Now, the book looks at the effect of the Great Depression on the lower middle class Jewish family. There are differences, of course, from the book to the movie. I think the book was mid-1920s, and the movie, we're going to assume, was 1958.
Right. Frickin' fly. Sorry.
Now, the novel took place in Brooklyn, and the movie was in the French Quarter, New Orleans. And in the book, Danny is a boxer. So there was no singing in the novel.
Right.
And Danny is a singer. High school. Of course, Elvis was in his early 20s. So he's playing like a 17, 18-year-old.
Right.
Which it reminds me of Grease, because they had a lot of older actors playing high school kids. Now, in the novel, main thing that doesn't happen in the movie is Danny dies in the novel.
Oh. No, they couldn't have a tragic ending on scene, I guess.
Yeah.
On screen, sorry.
And the title, Stone for Danny Fisher, is taken from the Jewish tradition of leaving a stone on the headstone when visiting a grave. So let's talk about the movie. So you have Elvis, he's in high school, but he's not going to graduate. And that's in the news now about the school. I think it's in St. Louis, where they're not allowing kids to graduate because of fighting and also being, absenteeism, other stuff. I don't know. You get the idea that Danny was in trouble before the movie starts.
Yeah.
And he's got these friends, I wouldn't say they call them hoodlums.
Yeah. Hoodlums.
Yeah. Who kind of try and pull Danny in. Danny's working at a nightclub, but he goes in the morning to sweep up.
Yeah. Then
he's a busboy, I guess, after school. But he kind of gets drawn in with these, nefarious...
The sharks.
And the leader is Vic Morrow, was in the Twilight Zone movie and sadly got killed filming it. So he's pretty young in this movie. We got Walter Matthau. He plays Maxie. He's the club owner. He's really good in the movie. Like Jeremy brought up that Elvis doesn't seem like a great actor.
I mean that respectfully.
Yeah. I think there were more lines in this movie than his other movies.
It wasn't so much the acting, it was more so the pretending to be singing parts.
Okay.
I don't know that he was bad throughout the movie when he was just acting.
Yeah.
But some of the singing, it just didn't look good. It didn't look believable.
Yeah. And the one song, the facial expressions where he's smiling, reminded me of Michael Bublé.
Yeah.
Like the way he sings.
Yeah. It was interesting.
And then we have Maxie's, I guess it's his mistress. I don't think it's his wife, who he likes to beat up.
Yeah, different time for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of masculinity going on in the movie.
Yeah.
But she is, let's go through the movie here. Tell you a little bit about the movie itself. And then we're going to get a little bit into the soundtrack after that. But Jeremy's falling asleep.
I am.
It's a long day. Okay, so the movie was 116 minutes. So almost
over 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours.
Almost 2 hours, yeah. Okay.
Now it has 100% Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
23 reviews. I can't believe after all these years there's only 23 reviews.
That's crazy.
Only 23 people saw the movie.
Yeah. We're up to 25.
Yeah. So Hal Wallace produced the movie, and he acquired the rights to the novel for $25,000. He intended on giving the lead role of New York boxer to either James Dean or Ben Gazzara. I can kind of see a James Dean kind of role, especially if they kept it as a boxer.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the role was originally written for James Dean, but the project was canceled because he passed away in 1955. So in January 57, following the success of the off-Broadway stage version of the story, Presley was suggested as a possible replacement. And then the character, of course, was changed from boxer to singer, and the location was moved from New York to New Orleans. Of course, we have Elvis as Danny Fisher. We got Carolyn Jones as Ronnie, which I started to mention. She was 27 years old. She was 27 years old in 1959 when she was awarded the Golden Globe for New Star of the Year. I didn't realize, and also Carolyn Jones, you may not know the name, but she was Morticia Addams in the Addams Family. And I didn't realize she died so young. She was 53 when she died. Like I said, Walter Matthau, from The Odd Couple, Bad News Bears, Grumpy Old Men. Dolores Hart as Nellie. She eventually became a nun.
That's interesting.
In real life.
Wow.
She left acting in 1963 when she was 24. So she is
17
in this movie.
Wow. She looked young.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, she looked very young.
And like I said, Vic Morrow as Shark. Jan Shepard as Mimi Fisher. Danny's sister. She was in a lot of Westerns like Gunsmoke, The Virginian. She was born in Quakertown.
Wow.
She is still alive. She is, at Wikipedia says 94 or 95. They don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. Mr. Evans, who is the school principal, was on the Beverly Hillbillies as Mr. Drysdale. If you old people know Beverly Hillbillies.
I know the Beverly Hillbillies.
The film was first shown at Lowe's State Theater in New York City, July 2nd, 1958. During opening week, it ranked number 5 in box office earnings. And this, I guess it's a magazine, Downbeat, noted, let it be noted, here we're noting, that Elvis Presley's latest King Creole is his best picture thus far. Comparatively speaking, of course, maybe about 10 more films and as many drama coaches. From now, Elvis might begin to get an inkling of what acting's all about.
All right.
So they were looking for him to do more drama, which he unfortunately did not do. TV, radio, Mirror magazine, they praised his acting over his past roles. And then the Florence Times wrote, "The fellow isn't a bad actor. Of course, he's nothing at all sensational, and the Academy Award isn't in danger. But there are Hollywood habitués who've gotten by for years with less ability. In fact, given the normal amount of the more painstaking type of direction, it is entirely possible that Mr. Wigglehips could develop into a really competent actor." So there's another one.
Mr. Wigglehips.
Yeah. Wallace, who was the producer, selected Michael Curtis, noted director of the Hollywood studio system. He worked on Casablanca, Yankee Doodle Dandy. He decided to shoot the film in black and white for dramatic ambiance and give the streets a film noir. Is that how you say it? Film noir? Noir? Film noir appearance. He also selected the cast. So I think this film also has great actors, around Elvis. Now, this is interesting because on December 20th, 1957, It's a month before filming was due to begin. Elvis received his draft notice. So Presley and Paramount had to request special permission to defer Presley's enlistment to allow him to finish the film.
Wow.
Both pointed out to the draft board that a delay in filming would cost them a huge sum of money invested in the pre-production of the film. So Elvis received a 60-day deferment from January to March 1958. The filming took place mostly at Paramount in Los Angeles and on location in the French Quarter in New Orleans. And the scene of the bayou, which was probably towards the end of the film. I was going to say,
that was the end, right? Okay.
Yeah, it was filmed at Lake Pontchartrain. During filming, Elvis was constantly moved to avoid the crowds of fans who came to see him on location, which delayed the filmmaking. Mm-hmm. Wallace had rented a house for Elvis for his privacy, and a second one after his assistants noticed that the back of the houses in the block led to the back of the houses on the adjacent street. And to escape the crowds, Elvis would climb to the roof of one house and cross over onto the roof of another.
Oh my goodness.
After a fan discovered his path, he resided on the 10th floor of the Beverly Wilshire Hotel, which was rented for the whole cast. And then 14 days after the film was completed, Elvis was officially inducted into the U.S. Army. This was released, I'm sure this doesn't matter, on VHS in 1986. And in 2000, it was re-released on DVD, which we watched from the DVD. And Blu-ray, just April 2020 on Blu-ray. I'd give this a watch. If you like, I wouldn't, this is the thing. This isn't really, it didn't pick up, there's a fly in here. You hear something?
It's driving me nuts.
It's not really a musical, per se.
No.
It's got music where Elvis is singing at the King Creole. Mm-hmm. Not where, I consider a musical where they just break out in song, wherever it is. So did you enjoy?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I'd say it was probably like an 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
It was, initially I was a little concerned. There was a lot of music. Mm-hmm. And I was worried that it was going to be nothing but singing. But then once it got into the storyline, the plot, like the acting did a great job, meshed together really well. I was entertained throughout most of the movie. There might have been parts here or there that were a little slow, but otherwise I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I thought it was a good movie. I think it's the best Elvis movie I've seen. I like Viva Las Vegas too. But yeah, and the quality of the DVD, it's not a Blu-ray that we watched, but it's very clear.
It was very good.
So let's move on lastly to the soundtrack. This is the second soundtrack. It was recorded in 4 days in Hollywood. Radio Recorders peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Top Pop Albums chart. The album was previously released as an EP album with 2 volumes. King Creole Volume 1 and 2. Certified Gold, which is 500,000 albums, on July 15th, 1999. So it took a while. Now, the bulk of the songs originated from a stable of writers contracted to Hill and Range, the publishing company owned by Elvis and Colonel Tom Parker. So Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, which I brought up before, they had a limited contribution because they came to a roadblock with the Colonel during the making of the previous movie, Jailhouse Rock, in which they had practically dominated the musical, says proceedings. Now, the Colonel was furious that mere songwriters had such easy access to Elvis without going through him, and the Colonel closed off access to Elvis, especially since Lieber and Stoller had tried to influence Elvis's film direction, pitching him an idea to do a gritty adaptation of Nelson Algren's recent novel, A Walk on the Wild Side. And they were going to provide the music. So he didn't like that. But they still managed to have 3 songs on the King Creole soundtrack, including the title track, Trouble. Now, that's one of my favorite songs. I like that song. Mm-hmm. You got a bunch of things going on in the song. It picks up. It's weird because it has this thing at the end where it just picks up and goes off.
Right.
And then, of course, the song Trouble, Elvis returned with that song for his 1968 comeback special. So like we said before, in the top 10, they also wrote Hard-Headed Woman and Don't Ask Me Why. Mm-hmm. So this was first reissued on compact disc in 1988. In 1997, RCA reissued the album again, expanded edition, with an additional 7 bonus tracks. And in 2015, it was reissued on the Follow That Dream label, special edition that contained the original album tracks along with available alternative takes. There's 11 songs on the soundtrack, and I don't know if all of them were used in the movie.
Yeah. If not, they did I'd have to say they did 80% at least.
Yeah. But we had, let's see. We've got King Creole, As Long As I Have You. I don't remember that one.
I'm not sure.
Hard-Headed Woman. He did. Trouble. Dixieland Rock. Don't Ask Me Why. Lover Doll. I know he did that song. Mm-hmm. I think he did that in the store. Mm-hmm. There's a scene in the store where he hooks up with the, we'll call them the Sharks. I don't think they were called the Sharks. The hoodlums. So they want Elvis to go in there and sing while he distracts people so that they can steal stuff.
Yep.
And then the girl behind the counter
saw it happening.
Yeah, but he's Elvis, so she still, wants to be with him.
Yep.
Even though she knows he's a thief. Well, he didn't really do the stealing, but there's a flying air. And then the song Crawfish. Oh, and the girl is, this must be the girl, Kitty White. Maybe she's in the movie. Mm-hmm. That's the girl singing with him. This fly has to go.
Yes.
We got Young Dreams, Steadfast, Loyal, and True, and New Orleans. So check out King Creole. Very enjoyable. So that does it for the podcast today. Thanks for listening.
All 3 of us are happy to provide you with the entertainment.
Yeah.
Entertainment today.
The Fly, Jeff Goldblum.
Never been much of a bather.
And on that note, you'll hear us later.
Yeah.
You've been listening to No Good Music, intro and exit music by the band 99%. Today's show is produced and edited by Rob J. Lilly and recorded at the Did You Say 7 Studios in Washington, New Jersey. You can find No Good Music on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Pandora, and almost anywhere you listen to podcasts.